Something what I wanted to explore for a very long time is when I first did a video talking about Natsu's death in the series, his final scene in the series, and I know that a lot of people kind of said, well, what about the good side of that ending? What about, you know, they get together, they have a little Nashi, and, like, you know, they have their little girl, and they spend their life enjoying themselves and fall in love and have a happy end. A lot of people say this because Hiro Mashima has clearly stated before in interviews that he wants Fairy Tail to have a happy ending, wants to have a nice ending, compared to how Rave Master was. Which I find is a little bit weird, because if anyone's actually read the ending of Rave Master, like, it kind of actually has a happy ending right at the end, albeit the last chapter is very kind of like, you feel really bummed out and really depressed after the end. Not just because the series is ending, because a lot of things have happened in the world and there's a huge time skip. I don't want to go into more details about that ending. Obviously some of you people haven't read Rave Master, and I respect that. You know, some people might wait for a reboot, which I fucking love, but all I can say is that it's got a nice ending, but then also as well has a depressing ending at the same time. And this video is going to be specifically talking about the actual what happens at the ending of Fairy Tail. Now you're thinking, like, I'm not completely cutting off the last video that I did about the Natsu END death scene. Like, I still think that most of that, pretty much the 90% of the stuff that I said in that video is valid, and I still think that stuff is going to be happening in the series, albeit with some few changes. Now I believe that after we've this is going into, like, saying that with all the Spriggans are done, we've had Argyle, August, Bradman, Brandish, Demario, in that, like, all of the characters are there, their rivalries have been settled, we've had everything that's been happened with what we know with Aline and the other members, August has taken out, all the big players are out, and all that is left to take down is Acnologia the Dragon King and Zeref. Now, whilst the END transformation I still believe is going to be happening, and I think this is going to instigate with maybe Natsu being pushed to the edge after this August fight that's apparently being set up, where I think he's still going to have this transformation and actually might go against Zeref and might try to charge into him, and I still think Great is going to get in the way after finding out that he is END, and he will try and destroy him. He will hesitate for a little while though, because this used to be his closest friend, now turning into a monster. Albeit I do believe, like, whilst this is happening, Zeref is going to still be activating his plan. He is still going to be destroying the entire world, and it is going to be up to Lucy to try and stop this. Maybe somehow, like with the Celestial Spirits and all that, as we know, time works differently in the Celestial Spirit world compared to how it is in the human world. Maybe they might be able to do something with all the keys together and maybe able to, like, seal Natsu in there for a while, maybe so he can control himself or contain the END power that's with. I still do think this romance thing that's going to be happening in the series, maybe it might be something like, you know, actual true love. They've actually spent a lot of time, you know, what is, like, normal magic and all that in the whole thing, and we know that Fairy Tail, and especially all other mages in this world, revolves around emotions. That's how powerful your magic can become, and that's what people suggest that what the one magic is love. Being one of the most powerful magics, obviously, as it was able to take an immortal's life, Mavis, because Zeref loved Mavis too much. Maybe in some sort of way as well, even as cheesy as it sounds on paper, maybe this is the way to break the END curse. Maybe this is one thing to, like, revert Natsu. Maybe it's like kissing, or actually just feeling that affection and that care. It's the thing that might be able to make Natsu able to control himself and able to utilize this power going against Zeref. And with this newfound power, whether or not Acnologia is down at this point, or if it's just a Natsu versus Zeref match, or if it is just all of them against each other, I believe Natsu is going to be using this power, and whilst that's going down, everyone else is going to find a way to contain or seal Zeref. I think in this case, like, Natsu is going to be used like a situation where he probably is going to have to sacrifice himself. He's probably going to have to use all his energy, maybe to take down like Acnologia, but I feel like he's going to need to do something in a way where he can actually put Zeref in a permanent seal, and I believe with him weakening him, he'll be able to use something in a similarity where he'll be able to seal him, and that will have the chance that Lucy will be able to, like, somehow seal him in the Celestial Spirit world. And maybe after using his powers too much, maybe since now that Igneel isn't there to contain the dragon within himself, maybe he will start losing control. Maybe he might just turn into Crystal or some similarity. And Natsu himself, maybe either to seal Zeref, he has to be sealed himself. That could actually be, like, near up to, like, the epilogue of the series. It could be many years later that we can see what exactly has happened to Lucy and the entire gang, and they still think of Natsu that long, and maybe after a certain while Natsu will eventually get free. Whether what reasons it is, whether the seal just got, like, released after a certain while, maybe some similarity happened, or some sort of magic, maybe even Mavis is going to have to sacrifice herself to make sure that Zeref is fully sealed, and maybe, like, it would be like the last little bit of power that Mavis has sets free Natsu. This, like, being able to, Lucy and Natsu being able to be together, and then we'll be able to see their little child, Nashi. And, like, the way I picture Nashi, I completely, like, picture this little girl just having, like, Natsu's hair, having the ponytail, like, the side like that. And I kind of want her to have, like, you know, she's, like, kind of, like, a bit smart, but I want her to have that cocky, kind of fiery attitude that her father has. And, like, if people know, like, that is very similar to, like, you know, kind of like a ending that we already know from, like, Rave Master and from this other series and any kind of series. I don't think, like, Fairy Tail's going to have a very unique ending, but I think it's going to have a very sweet one at that. Like, it can play two ways where it could be actually a very depressing ending where everyone kind of thinks of Natsu and they thank him for everything, and maybe he managed to leave the legacy. Maybe he was able to leave Nashi in some similar situation. Whereas he's clearly said that he wants a happy ending, which is probably one more likely. They are probably going to get together, and they probably are going to continue, like, doing guild, like, adventures and enjoy themselves and spend time with their little kid. And maybe their little kid might end up being a mage herself. As much as I really do enjoy Fairy Tail for all, like, it's even the dumb shit that it does, and trust me, it does a lot of that. I feel like whatever ending that Fairy Tail does, and, like, seeing this child as well, Nashi, which I do believe, like, that is eventually what, like, Hiro Mashima is going to go for. I do believe that we are going to see this little girl, Nashi. I feel like I'm not going to mind either way what its ending is, and I feel like we definitely are going to get a good fight between the ending of, like, Acnologia, Zereth, Natsu. And I feel like Acnologia might be defeated, but I think like Zereth is that kind of opponent where I don't think you can, like, just physically beat him. I think Natsu had that chance, he wasted it, and now I feel like the only way is, like, maybe there's some way combining with Natsu, like Natsu beating her, like maybe this, you know, sacrifices herself and puts it in a crystal-like state that she used to be. However, after that point, like, she has to trap Natsu in there as well, alongside with Zereth. I think with that last little bit of consciousness that she has, she'll be able to give Natsu the life that he's always kind of, like, dreamed of, be able to continue his adventures, and also as well be with the one he loves. But that's just a theory that I've been thinking about for a while now. I'm curious to see what you guys think about it. Do you think that's the actual way to beat Zereth, that is, like, we can't physically beat him after, like, the whole Dragon King mode just, like, kind of, like, disappeared, all that accumulated power? Do you think now, at this point, it just has to be sealed, like, using, like, Mavis with an unlimited magic? See what you think in the comment section down below, but that's all from me. So if you enjoyed this video, then I'd highly recommend as well the Natsu E&D Dead Scene as well. I really enjoyed doing that video, and I feel like this is a good parallel to this video alongside with that one. Like, I really think, like, the two work in hand, and I really would like you to check that out, and also as well other Fairy Tail material that I have down below. Thank you very much for watching as always, and I'll see you guys next time.